All right, we are getting some folks in here. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get our lunch and learn kicked off. I already see hands getting raised. This is awesome. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and do a quick intro and welcome you guys, and then we will dive right into some questions. I see hands raised, and also I see some pre-submitted questions as well, and so we'll get into all of those. But real quick, first and foremost, welcome. This is our daily lunch and learn. This is where you get to sit with someone from the decisions team for our hour lunch break and just talk anything you want about decisions. This can be about the product itself. This can be any questions you have, things you're stuck with, things you want to see in the tool, your favorite place to go in Virginia Beach if you come visit our office, whatever it is. I will do my best to answer and or track down the answer for you after the call. And so you can see from this list, today's Thursday, the 27th, you get me. My name is Eric Welmerink. I've been with the company 9 years now, coming up on year 10 next year, which is it's kind of crazy to think about. I still feel very very new and fresh at this. But anyway, super exciting to be here. But what I currently do with the product team is I am the product manager. So I am responsible for ensuring that the product continues to grow and develop in the right areas, and then we continue to advance kind of the decisions platform and technology, serving the needs of our customers the best way possible. So I manage and track our roadmap. I manage and track a couple of user panels. I run the beta programs. I design all the new features, and so I kind of help manage all of those sorts of things. So specifically, my area of expertise right now, if you have questions, is around the roadmap, the things that Decisions is doing, and the current set of features. In addition to that, I was the trainer for about 5 years. So I traveled around the world training people how to use Decisions, as well as I've worked in pretty much every department in the company, except I think sales is the only thing I never actually did. I did demos for a while, so I guess technically I was a part of the sales cycle. Anyway, all that to say, that is what we'll be doing. That's who I am, and today we will answer some of your questions. Best way to ask questions is we already have a few folks raising your hand in the chat. We can let you come off mute. We can verbally discuss. If you'd rather not talk, you can post in either the question and answer panel or the webinar chat panel. They should be at the bottom of your Zoom meeting, and you can submit things there. Now, just in case you haven't heard, we are officially ending end of life support for older versions of Decisions. So everything version 6 and earlier. We will be stopping support for iteratively ending on June 1st. We will stop all support. So what this means is if you're on version 6, please reach out to your customer success manager or support@decisions.com, and we can help you plan strategically to move up to the latest version, which is version 8. But we announced this, we announced kind of the major fixes last year in 2021. We announced this at the end of 2022 last year and said, hey, we're going to stop in support services for this middle of this year. As of March 1st, we are no longer pushing like hot fixes, patches, or security fixes to version 6. And as of June 1st, we will stop all critical support. So if you have a critical outage and you're on version 6, support will be removed as of June 1st. So get upgraded. Version 8 has a ton of super awesome new features, so I think you should upgrade regardless. But it's going to be some cool stuff there. So just to remind you, if you have any questions, again, please reach out to support or your customer success manager. And then last thing to mention, since I'm on the call, is I actually give our product roadmap in an official 1-hour presentation every other Thursday from 11 to noon Eastern, so just an hour before this call. The next one that we'll be doing is actually next week on Thursday, May 4th. And I'll be the one leading that. We'll sit there, we'll talk about a little bit of strategy and a lot about what the next, really the next 3 months and 6 months and 12 months up to 18 months looks like for the Decisions product. It's a pretty fun call. It's interactive. I show off a lot of cool screenshots. You can ask questions. You can agree or disagree with things we're doing, and it's a good way to get feedback from our customers and partners. So check it out. It's on our website, decisions.com/events. So without further ado, not sure which of the two of you raised your hands first, so apologies if I'm cutting line here. But let's go ahead and let Wade, because I see him at the top of the list. Let Wade jump in and ask your question. What can I do for you today, sir?
We have on reports and kind of around Decisions, the created by is an email. Is there any way to change that to their name?
Good question. So there is not like by default, like you can't switch the column to say like displayed by, but let's take a look. So let's do sample account. Accounts have created by, and I have accounts in here. I'm just trying to pick a simple source. So we create a report. we get the account data source, and you're saying created by, and then we could also include in this modified by, and there should be one more by, right? Archived by. Anyway, there's a few other ones here, and then we could give this like the email address, and I don't know whether or not they can use the portal. Sure. So you're saying you want this to be a person's name rather than like the email that we track.
Specifically the created by, because that shows up on
okay.
like on entities that are created in a flow. They have a created by, and it just shows email.
Yeah, correct. So unfortunately, no. Like simply because this is our unique identifier, so that's what we save all of the audit history on, so that we know that the audit is unique to the accounts. But for reports, you can do this a couple of different ways. The first is you can actually run a calculated column. This would be an interesting way to do it. Now that I think of this, now that I'm saying this out loud, is you can come in and you can say you'd have to do like a flow inline field. A flow inline field, what it does, where is it? Run flow inline field. It's in here somewhere. I'm losing my mind. Run flow inline field. Okay. And you can actually go run a flow to like take the account ID and return back the username, right? That's one way. On some entities in some of their reports, you actually will have account information. It's like I'm on the account report, so I actually can just pull in first and last name and show it as a merged text field. So again, under calculated columns, I could say merge text inline field and then merge, what is it, first name space last name. Now this would require that this is set on my account, so I don't think I have any account set with first name, last name. And then you could just change the column header to say, instead of merge text inline field, created by, and it would work that way. Now for all the other entity framework stuff, I'm trying to think if there's a better way to do this. Like, let's take something that's not an account. Let's take element registration. Element registration is our term for stuff in decisions. So all of our flows, rules, reports, anything that you create that's a designer entity is also registered as an element registration. So I can say here, let's grab, I just want the name. It's going to be entity name. It's going to be entity name. The name of the thing, created by and created on, and if it's a rule or it's a flow, sure. Cool. Is there a good way? Let me add a quick filter so I can see actual accounts. This is a good question. Created by is not, or is not, does not equal, does not contain. System. All right, so I can get actual accounts. Okay. I don't know of a good way to do this now that I'm thinking of this out loud, because I'm not going to have access to account information here. This is a good feature request, though.
So you couldn't do the run inline flow on this?
You could, and so this would probably be a way to solve this. The reason I hesitate, and we'll talk a little theoretically here, the run flow inline field has a, it's not run flow inline field, sorry, it's flow inline field. Run flow inline field gives you like a button to run another flow process. We just want flow inline field, which actually the flow data gets pushed into the column. So I could do this, and I could say create a new flow, report inline field flow. This flow would go and take the fetch entity step, or I guess fetch account. I could do it by the account object too. That'd be integration, internal services, account. Yeah, and I could say get by. There might be a get by email in here. Get account, get by email. Perfect. That's probably a little bit easier to use. That not replace. Okay, get by email, and then we handed in that column field, right? So I would say from my report row, was it field 2, I think, text value. This would give me back the account object, and what I'd send in my output here would be merging to a plain text field from my account object, first name, last name. This should work. And we could actually test this by going and setting first and last name on the account. But there's there's a concern here. Created by, okay. Save. And what I'm going to do very quickly is go set a first and last name on those accounts, just so I can test this. Where's my system security accounts admin? We'll call this first name Joe, last name Schmo. And we can set mine. First name Eric. Good. Back to my report, run it. Didn't show me Joe Schmo. I may not have the right column sourced into here. Anyway, not to waste too much time. This is how you could approach it, right? Maybe run this as system report row field 2. That should be the right value, right? Report row field 2. Text value. I could do some logging to make sure I'm grabbing the right column. Let's just try this really quick. Anyway, all this to say, yeah, this could work. The problem is this is not going to scale very well, because every time I load this report, it's going to run a workflow that's then hitting the database. And so if even in this report, I have, a couple hundred items in here, I have 352 items, all 352 items have run a workflow. So I've effectively run a workflow 352 times every time this report runs. You add 10 users to that, I'm running 3,500 flows, 100 users, 35,000 flows. So it doesn't scale well. So it's good for really small use cases, but if it's something you wanted to apply portal wide to like all of our created by columns, it would be something I would be very cautious with.
Yeah, there's the emails. I mean, the email we're also using for single sign-on, and for whatever reason, some of the emails they're like someone's maiden name, so that even if you knew the person's name, you couldn't even tell, because it's their old name. You can tell who it actually was, because you're like, who's this, S. Johnson, because they changed their name to Smith or something. So it's just it need a better identifier of who that was created by.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm gonna add as a feature request to talk about with the dev team, the ability to switch that under the covers.
That would be great. And someone in the chat said, yeah, it's good possible option. Could you just join the two tables with account and created by? Is that
yeah, that's possible. You can add extension data here and write a join that joins these together. I wonder if there's a default one is what I'm looking for.
Is that I guess database, and how hard it is on the data, database running all those things, I guess, is that the less intensive one, is to do a join rather than the flow?
It would be a little less intensive, yeah, because we would cache the join ahead of time and then just represent the data. And then the last option you could do would be to create a flow report data source, which again is an interesting option where you could come in and you can actually go write a workflow that then sources the data into a report. And so I won't build the whole thing, as I see some other questions, but the idea being when you write a flow for a report, you can write a report data source flow. And all this is going to ask for is a list of data back, some sort of output back. You could create a data structure that has first name, last name, and do all the manipulation in a flow one time, so that whenever the report loads, it runs one workflow to source the data. This would be another option. But let me take away as a feature request too to go talk about with the dev team, if there's if we could have an easy toggle that says, show this metadata as, first and last name. I think that'd be a good win. So I will take that away.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet, Wayne. All right, I think that answers Wade's questions. Radley, I think you were next, sir. So let's go ahead and let you ask your question.
Hello, Eric. So I have a form, and I have a tab container on that form, and it contains a bunch of required fields. So what I want to do is when user clicks the submit button, I want to show them all of the errors that may have been generated on another tab in the form. Now, I was chatting with support earlier and found the all form validations display, which works great. But I'm kind of running into two issues. One, I can't find a way to capture that a validation has been thrown, just in general, like our validation is present. And then I can't figure out how to, if I were to get that, I want to display the error, a new errors tab in the tab container, and then activate that tab. So that's what appears when they click submit and there's a validation.
Got it. I'm not sure about the latter. Let's look at this together. So let me just stub this out so we can talk about it.
Sure.
We have a tab container. 3 tabs is great. Tab 1 can be tab A, tab B, and then we'll have errors. Right? Okay, cool. So you want like tab A to have a text box. Oh,
right.
That's not what I wanted. I didn't want a giant text box in there. Hold on. Let's throw a grid first. Perfect. And a text box here. Grid B or tab B can be that. And we'll have a number spinner. And then if either of those have validations, we throw it here. And where did that control go? I just had it up. Here we go. All 4 validations, right? Roughly, am I capturing this right?
You're spot on.
Okay, okay. Cool. And then we got a button that is your submit button. Okay. That should be tied to here. We'll call this number. We'll call this text. Okay. All right. I've never actually used the all. I know it exists, but I've never used that all validations control. So let's take a look at it together. Show form. Pick my form I just built. Go. Sorry for the rapid quick clicking. We don't want any values in there at first. So your validations, are you writing custom validations like in an active form flow or just like?
I have a combination. I have some that are just based off the required setting. And then I also have some custom ones that I'm building for optional fields.
Okay. So yeah, so I click submit. It says text must be specified. So the 2 things, remind me, the 2 things where you wanted it to jump to the errors tab to show me all these validations, right?
Right. So I needed to jump to the errors tab, but I think I also need to capture that, yes, a validation is present so that I know when to jump to the errors tab.
Got it. So the behavior like we're trying to create is I skip tab A, I fill out tab B, and I say, submit. It should jump to errors and say, hey, you got to go do this.
Right. But I have to know to do that. I have to figure out a way to know to do that.
Right. Okay. Let's look in an active form flow because I haven't played with this too much. Do I get access in the data? Let's just do it here. So we have the form validations issues. It just tells me whether it's enabled or disabled. Okay.
Right. Okay. I was hoping for a string property there or something.
Yeah, me too. Let's look at the form rules. Set validations, clear validations. I don't have a like fetch validations. The other thing too is can I set the tab container? Have you tried that?
I didn't even get that far. I was trying to figure out how to
you can. But it doesn't let me set it to. We need to fix this. Okay, so there's 2 feature requests here. Set control value. I would expect set control value if I pick the tab container. Maybe I have to pick current active. Yeah, I'm just not gonna like that. I would have expected that if I picked tab container to allow me to set the current active tab, right? Which would allow me then from a flow to switch that tab dynamically. So I think that's one feature request. The second part is can we easily, from this flow, like recognize that validations exist. I don't know of a good way to do that. We have trigger data. We have the tab container itself. We have, well, okay. That's less than ideal, but I could get all the validation issues for each control.
Right.
And then on button click, see if these have any issues. That'd be a interesting way to do it. And I say interesting because I think it's messy.
Oh yeah.
In the sense that it wouldn't be too bad. So what I could do.
I think a few weeks ago I put in or I was on a call and someone put in a feature request to be able to loop through all the controls.
Yeah, right. You could fake it here. It would be great if it's and I love that feature request because that solves this problem too. You could fake it by building an array of form validation issues first, and then taking all your controls. Oh, this is going to be messy. Build array, and then grab the validation issues, and then let's just do like our controls. I don't need these other ones. Number, validation issues, add another one. What's the text button I had? The text control, text box, fine. Why are you not happy? Oh, because it's called validation issues. Okay. That was it. Validation issues. Okay. So this would kind of work. It doesn't solve the problem of jumping to the tab, but I could. Oh, you didn't save my mapping. Oh, because I did join array, not build arrays. I want join arrays, not build arrays. Okay. See where I'm going with this now? Does this make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Form data. Let's just grab these two. Number, validation issues 1. Nope. What are you not happy about? Selected path is not valid. You're a liar. It is form control validation issues. Okay. Either way, this is the idea, right?
I'm with you.
You join the controls you want to validate, and then you can throw it into a for each list, and kind of go through them one at a time. Grab the validations or see if the validations exists. You can even just do an is exist step here after you have the array, and then handle it appropriately. The problem with handling it appropriately is I don't see a good way to set that. Okay. So we can do half of what you're trying to do.
So maybe let me just talk to you a little bit about the root cause of this, right? Users are clicking submit, and I know, right, that when submit outlines in red, you stay hovered on it and it shows you the all the messages, right? Users are not getting that and not understanding why the form isn't going away. They say they submit it, whatever. So I'm trying to make it very clear that there are problems with the form. If people are if they're logging into the portal and it's a portal form, I'm showing a pop-up and that seems to work great. I did find yesterday and had it confirmed through support ticket that pop-ups do not work for name sessions. So in a UI integration, pop-ups do not show.
Oh.
So now for people who are potentially less technically savvy than even people who aren't understanding the errors, they're really going to be lost.
So this is an effort to try to very clearly show errors.
Yep. I'm hoping a bunch of red exclamation points will identify something's wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense. A workaround you could consider is leaving the form and coming back. So you click submit, but you wouldn't have the validations. Never mind. That's a bad idea. You could write your validations externally. They click submit, you run validations, come back to the form, and then like with the tab selected that has those errors written out. That requires a little bit more dev than I think you're probably looking for, but it would work. Okay. Man, I am 0 for 2 today. I keep track. I have a running list of how well I do on these lunch and learns, and my effectiveness is dropping. Okay, but this is good. I'll submit a feature request for, I'll go submit a feature request for setting the tab control value via active form flow, because I think that's an easy one.
Okay.
Form control, tab control. Tab from active form flow. Okay. I'll go ahead and submit that ticket, so you don't have to worry about that one. And then I'll follow up with support on looping through validations. I think there might even be something better there. If I'm really thinking of this hard, I think, oh, I lost my form flow for whatever reason. I think a good option too would be to just have in this data explorer. Oh, we do form validation issues. Oh, that's the control. Yeah. I think by default, having form data of all the validations so that you can leverage it in an active form flow is also a meaningful feature request.
Okay, very good.
All right, cool. Any other questions while I got you?
I do have one more. I don't know. I'm happy to wait till everybody else is gone.
All right, let me jump to Leah and then I'll come back to you.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah, you bet. All right, cool. Man, again, 0 for 2. Maybe I can answer Leah's. Let's see. Wanting to know, good afternoon, morning, Leah, by the way. Wanting to know if it's possible to rewrite a previously set data in a list based on certain criteria. For instance, if 2 of the elements in the list have the same code, I want to change the previous grade response for just those 2 in the list. I can share my screen if you want to see an example. Yeah, I think seeing an example will totally help, and then we can look at some of the list manipulation steps and how to do that. So let's, I need to stop sharing. Let's go ahead and see your screen.
See, I'm not too used to Zoom. Oh, there we go.
Oh, are you a Teams user? It seems to be the only 2 options.
Okay, I think I'm back and I think I can share my screen now.
Perfect.
Since I'm a panelist, let's see. I'm not familiar with Zoom and how to share my screen on here. There it is.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. And I just want to let you know that this is so it'll be up like on YouTube, and so it'll be public. So just be aware, be cautious of any sensitive.
That's fine.
Thanks,
I
Robin.
created the flow just for this.
Hey, look at that.
So basically, I am creating a response from a list of items that I send in.
Yeah.
Simple rule. So in my little debugger, I have 4 sort of cases that I submitted and have set responses for each. You can see 2 of them have the same code. So what I was hoping to do is, after I get out of this for each step, somehow look at my response list and maybe reset one of the values or both of the values, whatever, for the ones that have like code 11. So C1's true, 1's false. If I have 2 code 11s, I really want them to both be false instead of true. I don't know if there's a way to pull this list back in somehow and basically rewrite all the ones that have like a duplicate code.
Okay, cool. All right, this makes a ton of sense. Let me steal screen sharing back, which I can do. There we go. And I'm going to create a new flow for this. Let's call this list manipulation. So yes, there's a couple steps that I think you'll want to take a good hard look at that could do similar type behavior. So let me very briefly try to recreate this scenario. I don't even need to do that. Let me just get a list of something. I'll have a list of accounts. I always use accounts because there's always data there. I should pick a better example. And we'll just call it some accounts. It's a list. And we're just going to add a couple items in there. Cool. Me and admin. Done. Okay. So as far as list manipulation goes, there's a bunch of steps under data list. There it is. And the ones I would start looking at that I think are really powerful and really cool would be rule collection filter, that should let me do this. You can also like grab specific items in the list, so you could see if something exists in the list already, like an item in there. I think this is going to be better building this out, or collection filter. Sort won't help me here. Okay, these are two steps that are really cool. So like as part of your loop, or maybe after your loop, or whatever, however you want to do this, these kind of act as, these steps themselves act as an internal loop to look at a list of data. Specifically, they let you filter out items in the data to remove them from the data set, update items in the data set, or you can do just a simple sort. So you can say, like, have really custom sort logic on a dynamic type or on a complex type. Like I want to sort first by priority code, and then I want to sort by created on date. And you can create that sort of custom sorting logic using these same types of steps. But here's the idea. Is you take in a list of some object. I have a list of accounts. I'm going to pick it for, oh, that's fun. Oh, no, this is what I get for experimental builds. I'm on a very, very raw experimental build trying to test some stuff. Okay. I don't know what that error was. I'll debug it later. But you say what type of data you're trying to loop through. We can ignore this for now. And then you give it the input collection. But what this will do is the rule collection filter will give you a rule to tell you when to filter out items. So this one actually won't work for you now that I say it out loud. So you could say, if the entity that I'm bringing in, if the parent folder matches a previous parent folder, remove it from my list. That's actually not what we want. So ignore this step, but it's a cool list manipulation step. I think collection filter is what we could use. This is almost the same type of behavior. You choose an object, you give it a list of something. It's going to return back some filtered or modified list. And then it'll actually give you a workflow that lets you say, for each item in my list, I include it in the collection or I exclude it in the collection. So in here, what the data you're going to have available to you is the singular entity you're looking at, as well as you can I meant to do that. Oops. Hold on. There's a property you got to select called expose flow data. And what that does, you also get all the data that's available in the parent workflow. So I can look at my list of accounts and a singular account, check a value if it exists in the parent list, make a change to it so you can set the value on the account, and then include it back in your collection. So it would look something like this. Like I would do my evaluation here, we can just do a quick string is in list. So I say, does my case insensitive parent list of some accounts let's look at email. Email is going to be unique, but you get the idea. Where's all email? Am I just blind? I am blind. Oh, I saw all email address. There it is. Okay. So I'm looking in the parent list of all email address. I'm picking one at a time the entities that come in, and I will pick this email address. And if it exists in the parent list, go do some data modification, right? Like in your case, go change the codes from true to false or change the status code 11. So you'd have some rule logic first to look at the parent list and the individual item. Then you can just go modify that account. Actually, okay, this is how we do it. This is an account. And then I could make changes to this account object. So I map it in, I'd have to build it, but I could map it in and change one of the values in there, which would actually be this. How would I do this? Build data. I think that's what I want to do. Yep. So you take in the account object and we map the ID and some other stuff. Anyway, all that to say, then I output this back out. I change the value of my parent entity, and then I send that out as included in my collection. This is the big picture idea. I know that's a short lunch and learn, so I can't build this out fully, but this step acts as another loop. It takes in the list of things, gives you them one at a time as just an object called entity, but you also can reference that parent list, do some rule-based logic, modify your entity, and keep it in your collection, or even remove it entirely from your collection if you wanted. I think I would approach it this way, because it kind of would segregate your work into two sections of work, right? You'd have one section here in the middle that is your original loop that you showed me on your screen. Then you'd kind of do a post loop evaluation or validation as kind of a visual. You also could just build it in another for each loop, but that logic might get a little more complex, if that makes sense. Does that help answer at all?
It does. I'll play around with it. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a good step. And then check out these other list steps as well, because there's some in here I'm trying to think about as well, where you can like evaluate any, like these are good rule-based steps that allow you to take in an input collection and write a rule against it to get a true and false return. So kind of the same way where this acts almost as a loop, looking at a collection, but kind of evaluating them one item at a time. So there's some other steps here that might help.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Go back to here. I don't know why I closed that. All right. I think I don't see any other questions come in. So it looks like Bradley, it's back to you, sir.
Awesome. Okay, I do have a support ticket out for this one, but I just want to see if maybe we can just get solved right here.
Yeah,
So
let's do
I
it.
have a time span data member on a structure, and I want to convert that to 1:00 a.m. or 2:15 p.m. right? Whatever. I want to have the PM, AM PM designation on it. So I'm using a get formatted time span step.
Okay.
I just can't figure out the syntax to go. I can get it to go HH/:MM, so I can get the hours and
Right.
minutes. I don't know the rest of the syntax to get the TT designation to work from what I saw on
Got it. Okay. So we have our structure. Oh, what did I just call this thing? Ignore spelling. If you, what did I just call this thing? Time span, because, oh man, I'm failing. Hold on. I can cheat. User defined types. Database structure. Thing with time span. Yeah, that was a great name.
Nice.
All right, so we have some time span in here, right? Boop, boop, boop. Cool. And then you said you were using the format
Get formatted.
time span?
Get
Yeah.
formatted time span.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had the hour, minute, seconds, and then we hand in our time span. And you're just trying to format this correctly, like to get the output proper?
Right, and I want to get it with AM PM.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you a secret. This is in our, I'm gonna have to look at the .NET method, get formatted time span. So like same with our get formatted dates, like this is a standard format. I think it's just .NET, but it might be something else. .NET time span formats. I'm going to use the Google custom time span format strings. Anyway, they're going to give somewhere on Microsoft's websites, they're going to give you all the different designations that you can put in here.
Yep.
And so I think we just got to find one that is.
It should be TT.
Okay, you've already done this.
I have it. Well, I mean, your doc, your guys' help docs pointed me here, and you guys even give all the formats.
Oh, cool. Hey, look, our team's smarter than I give them credit for.
The only thing I don't know is like one, the document didn't have the special character of the backslash, so that took me a while to figure out, right? So just had HH::MM.
Yeah.
So I got that to work, but now I don't know. I don't know how to add the TT in there. Like there's a space. I don't know if I need another special character. I tried all kinds of different things.
Yeah. Why is there so many Fs? Oh, it's all the milliseconds. Where, I don't see TT. Oh, other characters maybe? Let's see, escape character. All right, well, let's ask this a little bit differently. There we go. How do they, our space, but we might have to escape that. Okay, let's try it. I'm sure you've tried this. So
I've tried.
I believe you. So if we do escape space, it doesn't have the colon in it. Like that. Let's do double escape characters because it's two spaces, maybe. No, doesn't like that. What's the error? It probably just doesn't like the, yeah, not in the correct format. Single? You've done all this. I'm just doing the same exact Fred you're doing.
No, I mean, I'm taking a guess, right? I am
Yeah,
not
I
a
don't.
coder.
The space is what's getting me. Like they're not escaping their characters here. I'm not sure why we have to escape them. Because this is the, I'm guessing this is the method we use. Yeah. That work? Why does that not work?
It's only possible. So in the chat there, it's only possible on date time.
Only to be done on date time. It is only possible on date time. But I thought this formatting just called the .NET method, right? So my assumption is that all of these, like unless we're doing something in the code to prevent that, hour /:. Oh, I'd have them mixed up. Okay. Right, because then it's just the text field. And the way that comes out is hour :, we're escaping it. Escaping the space. Oh, minute. Okay. This goes back to my formatting days. Man, it's been months since I've done this. So we just do TT. Escape that. Oh, sorry. No, bummer. Okay. Well, I would do the same thing that my team did, which is ask a dev.
Okay.
Bummer. I was hoping whole seconds. Yeah, what does the escape do? Yeah. Okay. Is doing it on the date time, not on time span. Oh, okay. No, it's doing it on time, custom timestamp format, standard timestamp format. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, yeah, I'll have to ask like what library we're referencing to try to figure this out.
Awesome.
I wonder if this just works. I'm gonna try something real quick, just because I'm curious. Yeah, good question, but I'm too dumb and been out of the code too long. That works. So we're using this library. Are you just using standard timestamp? Okay, or custom timestamp? Okay. Now to cheat, because I'm really good at cheating, you could just text merge after this. Right?
Right.
But that's not ideal. Because what does this output? It outputs as a string. Yeah, that's how I would cheat this. I'm sorry, I hate it, but how'd you know if it's AM or PM though?
Well, in our use case, I have a drop down, and from what I can, how it's formatted is it's every 15 minutes, right? So it's 12, 12:15, 12:30, so on. And then the output shows up at military time.
Okay.
Which that's not really what I want to present to the user, right? I want to show them 1 p.m. instead of 1300.
So how does the time span? So you have to have some reference date though to get AM PM, right?
Well, I mean, if the output's 1300, I know that's PM.
1 p.m. Right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. Okay.
And it converts to the hours and minutes fine. I mean, that's not an issue. Yep. Just the terrestrial time isn't showing up.
Yep. Yeah, I see what Vitaly is saying too. Vitaly's a much smarter developer than I am. He's chiming in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, AM PM is a date time concept. Use get formatted date, but can you use get formatted date with a time span, Vitaly? I've never tried. You can't hand it a time span.
I'd have to go back through. I can't remember the why I had to use timespan.
Yeah, because formatted date would work. I'm guessing you just do TT, that works. Yeah. Yep. All right, I see your point, Vitaly. Yeah, but to Bradley's question is he has it as a time span. He needs it as a date. So we need to convert it first from time span to date. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'm really bad with dates too, and dates and
Yeah,
time
they're
spans.
awful.
So that's also just my ignorance and bad ability there.
Okay.
I'll reach
keep
out. Let me just take a note. You said you already had a sport ticket open?
I do.
Okay.
My assumption was it just wasn't a high priority because it was a pretty minor issue, but maybe this is
Yeah.
why it's taken a little bit longer.
That's probably, I'm 100% guessing why it is, but I'll go.
Okay.
I know the dev that's really good with dates. His
Okay.
name is Jason, and I can just go poke him.
I really just thought I was missing some special character. But
No,
maybe
it's
not.
the way it's Vitaly's right. It's the way that time spans are understood by the like are just understood. So
Got it.
I'll take a look.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, we got a few more minutes here, and hey, still a good number of attendees. Any other questions? I have something I built today that I think is exciting. If no one has a question, I can talk about it. This will give me like I'm 0 for 5 today. This will give me at least 1 for 6. A question came in this morning from a new customer of ours that said, "Hey, I want to take the output of an answer on a form." So they have a form that is a survey, and they want to take this and add it back to the answer, like the available drop-down list of answers. And so it's really, I took a really simple approach. As I said, okay, well, we're going to save off the answers. So I created a really simple data structure that is called just question or answer storage. And all it has is the question name and the answer that they provide. And then what I do is every time they answer a question on the form, I check and see if they entered in a custom option in the other field, or if they selected a default drop-down option. If they selected other and typed in their response, I save it in the database and be done. Then when I come back, I take their question text, fetch the answer list, distinct it, and make sure that it's sorted, and then use that for the source for my form. So what it winds up looking in practice is if I have a question that says, what's the best NFL team? That question's never been asked before. So they have no drop-down options here. And they say other, and someone answers the Lions, and they would be correct. And they say, okay. If they answered the Lions, we recognize that we've never seen that before. We store it in the answer storage and come back. So the next time someone runs this, in their drop-down, they will see Lions. And if they pick that, they could say, okay. Or if they say, well, it's not the Lions, we're going to say other and say it's the, Chiefs. Say, okay, we recognize Chiefs was never run and come back. Next time they come in, that is sourced from those two options. They pick Lions again. So you get the idea. But this is, I don't know, I built this in about, 3 minutes, and I was really excited about it. So I figured I'd show it off at Lunch and Learn today. But this pattern of like using the decisions database as a storage mechanism to manage lists of options in like a form control is pretty simple and easy to do. And then if you type another answer and type in the Browns, we would all laugh at you because the Browns are terrible. But then again, the next time someone answers it. So they're using it for survey results so that they don't have to keep typing out answers, and they can kind of keep sourcing this list. I don't even know if using other and specifying another control here is the best approach. That's just a simple active form flow. So there's maybe better ways to kind of handle the UX of this, but the conceptual design in the back end is pretty much the same. So I found it interesting, and I built something for a customer in decisions. I wanted to show it off. All right, I stalled a little bit. Any other questions? Anything else? I could show off roadmap stuff, but with only 10 minutes, I think it would just be chaotic. So if you want to see some roadmap stuff, you want to see, we've been working a ton on deployment server design. So like with the new, so just to, I'll talk about this very briefly. With Decisions version 9, what we're doing 2 major updates for. The first is if you look at the folder tree in Decisions, right? Mine's pretty easy to manage and simple. Imagine if this has been running for 10 years and I have 400 different running executable processes, like our own internal support system. This folder list becomes massive and chaotic. And so trying to find a form that I'm leveraging in one of my 500 processes that have a total of 2,000 forms, finding the one single one to go change a format on can be onerous and burdensome. I'm trying to search for it. I don't remember the name. I'm trying to find it in this managed list, but it's kind of managed by 10 different groups of people. It's a pain. So project view is the idea that very, very first, I'll actually show a screenshot here. Why not? 3, there we go. Is very first when you now conceptualize and build work in Decisions, it's going to be organized into a project view. And what that looks like is something like this, right? And I'm gonna go into all these screenshots because like I said, I'll spend all day, I'll spend too much time. But first organization before you get into the folder tree is gonna be split up into groups of work like-minded together called projects. You enter into the project, then you have your folder tree organization and all the work that you're building inside of there. You can give access to it, you can expose services in there, etc. But by doing this, it gives us better control over what exists as a group of work together in a project, how we visualize and dashboard it, how we give you statistics and information about that project, how we deploy that project, and how you set up settings and properties and like-minded things about all the work inside the project. It's also a developer security thing where when I'm building in a project and I'm using forms in that project, I know that is a part of the project. So I'm not creating dependency webs and confusion with a million other projects in my system. So it's a way to clean up, organize, and reconceptualize your projects and decisions. It's going to be awesome. Now, this is the first major update that we're doing. Tied to this pretty closely, and I'm going to skip forward a little bit, ignore all these cool screenshots, is the deployment server. So this is what we call today the repository, but the repository is getting rewritten with the mindset that we want that server, we want your repository server to act as both change management, version control, branching and merging capabilities, and the mechanism you push and deploy your projects to other connected environments. So now, instead of just acting at the service layer, this will actually be a server you log into to see commits that people are making, to run an approval process and see the differences between the changes that they've made. Once those are approved, to create versions of your project to deploy, then actually to do a single button deployment, to click to connect to the environment, do the deployment, automate the testing, and report back. All that's going to be handled as a singular kind of management deployment system that we're now calling the deployment server. So a ton of new reporting and dashboarding, a ton of new UI wizards on how you do the deployments, better management of branching and merging capability. All of that is coming as part of our repository rewrite. And that we're targeting later this year to beta with an early release of next year. Just as a very high level, and you can't, I mean, I know we're recording this, but you can't hold me to this. We are targeting a beta of both of these features later this year with a version 9 proper release with both these features, front and center early next year in Q1. Subject to change, but that's the idea. If you want to see more, you want to know a lot more about that or the other initiatives that we're taking, you can see that I skipped about 15 other screenshots. You have to attend my webinar session, so sign up for that next Thursday. All right, no more questions. I've dawdled. We'll give you guys some time back. Thank you all very much for listening to me ramble. I'll follow up with those folks that I have follow-up items for, and hopefully you all enjoy the rest of your weeks. We'll catch you next time I'm on one of these. So take care, everyone.